James Bond has been around since 1953, well in book form anyway, and it's been on the big screen since 1963. And for an actor, playing James Bond is a juicy plum of a role. Anyone will do anything to get it. I mean, hell, it is probably the best role to have in cinema history. That being said, at the moment it's currently occupied by Danial Craig, who has said he is going to leave after No Time to Die. This will be his last James Bond film, except he did also say that after Skyfall and also after Spectre, so keep your fingers crossed on that one. So there are now hundreds of different actors that are out there saying, I want to be James Bond. The rumour mill is going overdrive about who's going to be the next James Bond. So what I've done is I've actually looked at bookies' websites and got a list of different names of people who are rumoured to be in the running for the next James Bond. So what I'm going to do is, because there are so many, I'm going to read out the names of who they could be and give my opinion on them, and basically just say yes or no. My opinions are not going to be that in depth, but still that's what I'm going to do. So let's talk about who could be the next James Bond. Right, before I get started, I do want to say I have taken out all the female names of these rumours and of these betting forums. For a simple fact is, although I do agree that there should be a female-led thriller, serious one at least, a spy film. I know Melinda McCarthy did her spy comedy, but I'm on about serious thriller spy stuff. Some of these actresses that are great, they're not James Bond. James Bond is a male role. It's not me being sexist, that's just fact. It's a literary character who's always been male. There should be, Hollywood or Eon Productions should make a female alternative, completely new, completely original, and use some of these actresses who's been lined up with the new James Bond role. With that being said, let's grab the list. And who have we got first on the list? Well, firstly, we've got Rowan Atkinson. No. He's a brilliant actor. He's actually quite good. I mean, he's done a spoof of Doctor Who, and he was fantastic as it. But as James Bond, I can't see him as it. I couldn't take him seriously. And also, he has been an unofficial James Bond with Never Say Never Again, alongside Sean Connery. He played Q. So, no to Rowan Atkinson. Next, we've got Tom Hiddleston. Actually, saying that, Tom Hiddleston could actually make a good James Bond. The only issue with Tom Hiddleston is he's too big within the Disney circles, especially as now he's got his own TV series, the Loki TV series, coming to Disney Plus later on. Will Disney let him go? Probably not. Not to be James Bond, which is a shame because I reckon he could actually pull it off quite well. Right, next we've got Big Nasty. How the hell did he get on the rumour list to be the next James Bond? Unfortunately, no, he is far from being James Bond. He's a very good grime comedian and he's quite funny. And with all this, yeah bro, and okay, it's not my cup of tea. That being said, I do think he could pull off being quite a good Bond villain, but being Bond himself, no, sorry, that's a no-no. Next up, we've got Mo Gilligan, who is actually Big Nasty's right-hand man on his TV show, and a very funny comedian. And strange enough, he hasn't actually got the looks. He's got the looks to pull off James Bond. However, he's got no acting experience whatsoever, which is a shame. He's got the looks, just... And also, if you ever watch his comedic shows, he's always too happy. Could you do a happy James Bond all the time? Don't think that would work, especially modern James Bond. Next we have Louis Theroux. How the hell did he get his name in this rumour list? One, he's 50 odd, so he's too old. Two, he's a documentarist. He makes documentaries. And three, he doesn't look like James Bond. He looks like a computer nerd. Hey, I'm not knocking computer nerds. I'm a computer nerd. Computer nerds are cool. They're just not James Bond. Right, next we've got Richard E. Grant. Now, I like Richard E. Grant. He's a terrific actor, but he's also very serious. And his comedy is very dry, and he does it very deadpan, just like how Sean Connery used to do it. But I don't think, even in his heyday, I don't think he could have pulled off James Bond, I'm afraid. Which is the same, I like him. He could have made a good Doctor Who, but he missed out on that one as well. Next we have David Schwimmer. I'm just going to skip that, because he's American. He's a comedic actor. And no, he is no James Bond. Next up on the rumour mill, we've got David Beckham. Now, David Beckham has been rumoured to play James Bond for God knows how many years. And I can see why. He looks the part of James Bond. But the problem is David Beckham's image is he's too nice. I mean, could you imagine it? I mean, seriously, think about it. Could you imagine David Beckham killing someone with a gun in cold blood? No, you can't do it. David Beckham's image is too nice. He couldn't pull off James Bond, I'm afraid. Next we have Ant Middleton, and he's another Pompey bloke, just like me. He's about the same age as me. We've got a lot in common. And if you don't know who Ant Middleton is, he is a former soldier who is the chief instructor on SAS Who Dares Wins. And he is in the rumour mill to be the next James Bond. But could he pull it off? No, I'm afraid not. He's too big, he's too muscly to pull off an effective James Bond. He could be like the bad guy's henchman, and that's about it. But being Bond himself, I'm afraid no, you're not quite right. Next we have Will Smith. Apart from the fact he is American, and an American should not play James Bond, that being said, I'm on the fence to be perfectly honest about Will Smith. He's too fun. Now if he manages to toe down his funniness, he could probably actually just pull it off, but it's very borderline. So sorry Will, I mean I know you're a terrific actor, but not James Bond material. Next we have Tom Reilly. He's an actor that he predominantly has a beard, and with the beard he could possibly pull it off, but you lose the beard and he looks too babyface and not quite, he looks too young to be Bond. So sorry Tom Reilly, you're not really a Bond person. Next we've got Terrence Howard. I don't quite understand how he's been rumoured to be James Bond. I mean the guy's nearly 60. And if you're going to be James Bond, you are going to need to commit around about 10 to 15 years of your life. That means you'll stop being Bond when you're 75. Sorry mate, you are just way too old to be James Bond. Next, Sam Reilly. Now, you know what? He could pull it off. I mean, he's not a big actor or anything, but he could actually pull it off. He's around about the right sort of age, he's got the looks, and the only flaw he's got is he hasn't actually done that many action films to his name just yet, so he is a bit of a risk, but it's a risk you could actually see it working. So next we've got Ryan Gosling. Now I want to say no, but I can't. Ryan Gosling's got a lot going for him to be Bond, apart from the fact he's Canadian, he's blonde, but then again Danial Craig was blonde and he played it off as well. And Ryan Gosling has done action films. He can do the serious, he can do the charming. Ryan Gosling, bizarrely enough, is quite perfect to play Bond, except he's Canadian and he's too good looking. I'm clutching at straws with Ryan Gosling, really, aren't I? Next, we've got Richard Armitage, somebody who has actually done spy work with the BBC TV series Spooks, and he's got the look. So you know what? He's near enough perfect. The problem he's got is he is in his late 40s, so you'd only get a couple of Bond films out of him. That being said, Timothy Dalton actually only did a couple of Bond films, and they're some of the best Bond films around. Next, you've got Orlando Bloom. Well, he's been an elf, he's been a pirate, but Orlando Bloom is more of a supporting actor. I mean, unfortunately, the roles he's done where he's the leading man, he hasn't managed to bring that film up. He is the weak link when he's a leading man. He's perfect as a supporting role. As a lead man, especially with a franchise like James Bond, I don't think he can pull it off, I'm afraid. Next, Nicholas Hoult. Now, I'll be honest, I'm sort of on the fence about Nicholas Hoult. I mean, you've got that look about, the cheeky chappy look about him. But my issue with Nicholas Hoult is I always see him as the kid from About a Boy, starring Nicholas Hoult and Hugh Grant. It'll always be that. But he has got the look to be James Bond, he's got the experience, he's been in some big blockbuster films since, mainly the X-Men franchise. But yeah, there's just something that I'm on about the fence with him. Next, you've got a rapper by the name of Kano. And you know what? He has actually got the looks about him. And yeah, he's not too bad. And he has got a little bit of acting experience, but they're only been like shorts, nothing feature length, nothing major. But he's got the looks. He could pull it off. He could take the James Bond franchise in a different direction. But just the lack of acting. Right, so next up we have Jim Sturgess. So a definite yes, he's got the looks. And the best thing is, he is still classed as an up-and-coming actor, which would work to the film franchise's favour. Someone who hasn't established them, someone who hasn't got, oh, he's this type of actor. He's got all that. So yes, Jim Sturgess is someone to throw into contention with. Next we've got on the rumour mill is Jason Statham. Now, I don't think Jason Statham is a Bond type person. Villain, definitely. I mean, Jason Statham is pretty much stereotyped as an anti-hero, and he's perfect at it. But being Bond, I don't think he would. As I said, Bond villain, hell yes, without a shadow of a doubt. Bond, no, can't do him. Next we have James McAvoy. And yes, is the answer. James McAvoy could probably pull off Bond, especially as James McAvoy is Scottish, and in the books, James Bond is Scottish. Ian Fleming actually added that after Sean Connery was cast, because he liked Sean Connery as Bond. Well, he didn't when he liked the cast, but he liked his portrayal on screen. But James McAvoy could probably pull it off, and James McAvoy is someone who's worked his way up. The issue is, would he want to helm another franchise, especially as he's been helming the X-Men franchise since X-Men First Class as Professor Xavier? Would he want to do it? But at least you know he's got the experience and you know he could do it. Next one is Henry Lloyd-Hughes, who I know as the bully from The Inbetweeners, and he gives off, in all his performances, he's always a bit of like Jackie Lads, you know, the hard man image. Not really something you want to go for Bond. Now don't get me wrong, I reckon if he could scrub up and he could probably just pull it off, and he's got the right build for it, but what he's actually good at is not really right for Bond. Next we have Harry Styles. Why? I know Harry Styles is famous for One Direction and he is trying to put his feet into acting, but at the end of the day, he's way too young. He's too young to be James Bond. To be James Bond, ideally you need to be 35 to 45 when you start. I mean, you can go like 5 years up or down, but 35 to 45 is the primary age. Anyone who's in their 20s is a no. You're too young to play Bond. You need that maturity about you. You need that maturity in your look. And Harry Styles is too young to pull that one off. Next one is Gerald Butler. Now, I could also, apart from that he's nearly 50, I can actually see Gerald Butler being James Bond, except it will drive the conspiracy theorists nuts, especially as Gerald Butler's second ever film role was actually in Tomorrow Never Dies as a leading seaman aboard the HMS Devonshire. It would drive all the conspiracy nuts, and a part of me says, yeah, do it, because that would just be fantastic. But no, he's been in James Bond, so you've had your chance. You took the James Bond too early in your career, you're out for the rest of it. Next, George McCoy. I mean, who keeps putting actors who are in their 20s in these rumour mills? As I said, if you're in your 20s, that's a no, you're too young. You cannot be James Bond in your 20s. You're way too young to pull it off. Next, we have on the rumour mill, Eddie Redmayne. Sorry, I just can't see it. I can't see Eddie Redmayne as an action hero. I mean, he's a brilliant actor. The autobiography about Stephen Hawking was fantastic, but as an action hero, no, sorry, I can't see it. David Uwalu, and I apologise if I said your name wrong, but as an apology, I'm going to say yes, you could pull it off. You are perfect for the role. You look perfect as James Bond. You've got experience from being in Spooked. You're not that big just yet. Fantastic. You are definitely someone who should be in the contention of being James Bond. You're that good. Next, Dan Stevens. I mean, Dan Stevens is someone who's fantastic at portraying being mad, but being James Bond, being serious, trying to be in a cold-blooded killer, I don't know whether that's up your street, mate, I'm afraid. Next, we have Colin Salomon. Someone I do feel sorry for, because he's been wanting to play James Bond ever since his career started. That is his goal. And he has been in James Bond. He played Solomon in Tomorrow Never Dies, as well as The World Is Not Enough. But his career is always the supporting man, never the lead. He's done supporting roles in so many different film franchises. Do I think you could be Bond? I don't know, but unfortunately, you're now in your 50s. I think you've missed the mark of actually playing Bond. Next, we have Colin Farrell. And same again, I'm going to have to say no. Because Colin Farrell's brilliant at playing characters that are funny or have this bit of quirkiness to them or something that's not quite right. But in roles where I've seen Colin Farrell where he's supposed to be deadly serious, there's something wrong. He can't actually seem to do it, which is a shame. He can pull off the look, but the actual source, the soul of Bond, I don't think he could. That being said, put him down as a Bond villain, that would be a good, interesting one. Next, Clive Owen. Now, in his heyday, he would have probably pulled it off, and he could have been in the running for James Bond when they cast Danial Craig. But you're 55, I think you've missed the boat, I'm afraid. So Clive Owen, I would actually have to say no. Next, Christian Bale. Now, Christian Bale, could he be the first Welshman to play James Bond? I mean, we've had an Irishman, we've had an Englishman, we've had a Scotsman. Could we have a Welshman in Christian Bale? I mean, he definitely has the looks. I mean, he's carried a franchise in the Batman series. But the issue is his performance is too intense. Would that do well on James Bond? I don't think that would, I'm afraid. Next, Ben Barnes. And I'm going to say yes, because I thought Ben Barnes could have done it with Danial Craig. He's still in the age where he could still pull off Bonds. He's actually a good actor. He's someone that has the right look. He's been in quite a lot of things. He's not a massive name yet. So Ben Barnes is another one that you can't knock out the park. There are better, but he's still in contention. Next, Rupert Friend. I'm on the fence, sort of saying yes. I mean, he could pull it off, and he has done the spy work when he played Agent 47 in Hitman Agent 47. But I don't know. There's just something that's leaning me more towards sitting on the fence and saying maybe. What do you think? Next up, we have Danial Craig. I apologise again if I've said your name wrong. But we've got an Oscar-nominated actor, someone who is brilliant. So he's been in Doctor Who, and then yes, he got nominated for an Oscar in Get Out. He has a fantastic range. He has a right good look for Bonds as well. And yeah, he's still definitely coming up. And yeah, I think he could actually be in contention as well. Next, we have Tom Bateman, another up-and-coming actor. So someone who's not a big name. And someone I do believe could actually pull it off. He's got the right look. He's the perfect age being 31. So yes, he's just a little bit young, but he's got that look of maturity. He can pull off the mature as well. So Tom Bateman is definitely someone else you should actually take into consideration. Timothy Chalamet. He's 24. Why is he in the rumour mill? Sophie Theroux. So apologies if I've said your name wrong, but you're 29. You look 20. Actually, you look younger. Too young. Why are these youngsters getting their names in to be playing James Bond? You can't pull it off. Sacha Baron Cohen. Oh God, no. Just no. No. Next, Rami Malek. Well, as he is the villain in the next Bond film, No Time to Die, I'm going to have to say no. Once you've been a Bond villain, that's it. You're not going to be able to play Bond ever again. You've had your chance. I'm still looking forward to him being the Bond villain though. Next, Naban Rizwan. Another 24-year-old actor who's managed to get into the rumour mill to play Bond. I'd love to know these guys' agents if they're getting their name thrown out by being in James Bond. Next one, Kamil Lezuski. Don't think I've said his name right. But funny enough, I've never heard of this actor, so I googled him. And when you Google this guy, you get his IMDb page and then lots of articles about who's going to be the next James Bond. He is famous for being rumoured to be the next James Bond. Most of his acting work is uncredited. He's had one biggish role, and that was playing Merlin in King Arthur film. But since then, he's gone back to playing uncredited roles. There's something about that that's putting me off and saying no. John Boyer, although he's only 28, so puts him a little bit too young, he has handled fame rather well. He is actually in a big franchise with the Star Wars sequel trilogy. But he's just that little bit too young. Maybe next time round you could be in the running and you'll probably be quite a good candidate. But at the moment in time, you're still just a little bit too young. Jamie Dorman is next on the rumour mill lists, and I'll be honest, his portrayal in the 50 Shades films is putting me off. And that's his biggest franchise so far. Now, he's been in other things as well, and he's quite good on that, but his biggest role in the 50 Shades franchise, that's your biggest thing, and you're not as good, especially as you had no chemistry with your co-star. So ultimately, I am going to have to say no to Jamie Dorman. Next, we have Jamie O'Connell. You're 29. You're too young, mate. Ewan McGregor. Now, I love Ewan McGregor. He's another one of these actors that's quite cheeky, has that cheeky chappiness to his side. But being Bond, I don't think that would work very well. So I would have to say no. Maybe a Bond villain, but Bond himself is going to have to be a no. Next, we have Charlie Hummin. I think I've said your name wrong, so apologies. He's another one of these actors that looks the part when he's got the beard, but lose the beard, you're too baby-faced. You look a lot younger than what you actually are. And I think that would be quite off-putting, being baby-faced playing Bond. I mean, you've got a couple of franchises under your belts, you've got the experience, it's just, the look is putting me off a lot with this. Next we have Benedict Cumberbatch. Now Sherlock is fantastic. He was fantastic in Doctor Strange. He's a fantastic actor. But being Bond, I don't know. I don't know whether you'll be that good at Bond. I'm going to be on the fence because you are a good actor. But there's just something saying no in the back of my mind to you being Bond. Andrew Scott, who played Moriarty opposite Benedict Cumberbatch. But you played C, Inspector, and you were a mole for the bad guy. So, no, you've been in James Bond, you've had your chance, you're never going to be Bond. So, next up we have Andrew Lincoln. Now, Andrew Lincoln has actually headed up a franchise with the Walking Dead franchise, which he has now stepped away from. Could he actually head up the franchise of the James Bond series? Or could he actually even play James Bond? Well, I'm going to have to actually say no. I don't think he is the right type of fit for James Bond, I'm afraid. That's just my personal opinion, at least. Next, we have Taron Egerton. Now, although he's 30, he still looks young, and I don't think he has that mature look about him just yet. That being said, I know he's got experience playing spies in comedy situations, mainly the Kingsman films, but playing James Bond, I would say not yet. Maybe in the next rounds of auditions, you might be probably the lead to be the next James Bond +1, but at this moment in time, I would have to say you're not there just yet. Next, we have Luke Evans, who actually looks like Antonio Banderas. Well, I think so anyway. What do you think? But that being said, he's got the skills, but I don't think he's quite the right look. There's something about him, which is a shame. I like Luke Evans. He's not a bad actor, but being Bond's, I'm gonna have to say no to that one. Next, we've got someone by the name of Michael Ward, who's only 22. Oh, hell no. Your agent deserves a raise, though. Jack Houston. Well, you know, yeah, I can actually see Jack Houston playing Bond. I mean, he's the perfect age. He's not that big. He's still classed as up-and-coming actor. It would be a beneficial partnership to both Eon Productions and yourself. You've got the right look, so yeah, you could actually be the next James Bond. You definitely should be in contention for it. Right, Damian Lewis is next, and he's been rumoured quite a few times to play James Bond before, and I can see why. He could actually probably do it. Now, he's really getting in behind throwing his support about being James Bond, especially he's the host of a TV series called Spy Wars that is shown on the History Channel over here in the UK. And the poster for it, which I'm putting in the Berry Telly, actually looked more like a James Bond film. So he's really getting behind and putting his weight behind, I want to be the next James Bond. You never know, he could actually pull it off. Golding. We have Paul Mescal. How the hell do these youngsters get their name in the rumour mill? That's a no. Henry Golding. And you know what? I'm going to say yes, because he looks like a brilliant James Bond. He's predominantly a presenter, but he does do acting as well. He's got the look, and he's done documentaries where he's actually putting himself through trials and tests, so he's actually got the stamina to be Bond. He would be a very believable Bond. I actually do like this guy and his potential to be the next James Bond. Next, Chris Hemsworth. You know, the God of Thunder, big name in the MCU. The problem is, what happened last time an Australian played James Bond? So, well, I'll just leave that there, really. Next up, we have Henry Cavill. Now, I get a feeling he might be a bit too big to play Bond now, but he's definitely got the look. He's definitely got the skills. He's definitely got the franchise experience behind him playing Superman for the DCEU or DCU or whatever you want to call it, which has now failed. Yeah, I see him doing it. I just think he might be a bit too big nowadays. Next, Jamie Bell. Oh, young Billy Elliot's all grown up. and he's in the rumour mill to be James Bond, but I don't think he could pull it off, I'm afraid. I don't think he is quite the right fit to play Bond. Next, Jack Loudon. So, although he's only 30, he's just inside playing the age range of playing Bond. I still think he looks a bit too young at this moment in time. So maybe next time, but not just yet. Next, Idris Elba. The man who's probably favourite to actually play Bond. He's been wanting to play Bond. He is probably the most talked about person to play Bond. And yes, he's got the right look. Yes, he's got the right skill set. And yes, playing Bond is probably right up his alleyway. So he is somebody who could actually still play Bond quite well. Next, Cillian Murphy. Now, someone I think is great actor. He's quite underrated as actor, but he is somebody who is more suited to playing a villain or a bad guy rather than playing the good guy, I'm afraid. Next up, Tom Hardy. Now, Tom Hardy would actually be fantastic as Bond. And although he's a big name, I probably think he would still say yes. He's very patriotic about being British. That being said, I think he's a bit too big now that Eon Productions probably won't even ask him, which is a shame because, yeah, he would be fantastic. Michael Fassbender. Now, I like Michael Fassbender as an actor, and he is a good actor. Played Magneto fantastically. He's done some other things as well where he's the star of the show. But there's something about him that's putting me off, so I'm going to just sit on the fence, I'm afraid. Next, Richard Madden. Now, Richard Madden is somebody who got his name out there by playing a king in some small TV show called Game of Thrones. Don't know if anyone's ever heard of that. And he never really got behind the whole James Bond thing until he started BBC One's The Bodyguard. And yes, that's where you saw his Bondness come out. And watching that, you can think, yes, you can actually play Bond. So yes, I'm going to say Richard Madden is a very good choice to play Bond, especially as he's the right age, he's got the right look, he's perfect, especially he's not an A-list celebrity just yet. Next, Adrian Turner. Yeah, I'm sort of on the fence with Adrian Turner. I mean, he could have the right look if he sorted out his hair. I mean, then again, Pierce Brosnan turned up to his audition with a perm in his hair and he still became Bond. I'm on the fence, but you are an upcoming actor, you're the right sort of age, you've got the right sort of look. I don't know what's putting me off about you, I'm afraid. Sam Heughan. Now, Sam's been the lead of a TV series called Highland for the past 5 series, and Series 6 coming up as well. So that may hinder his chance of becoming Bond later on. Same again, I'm not too sure. He's too nice. He can do action quite well. He's got the right look, but he does come across as quite a nice gentleman type of thing. Whether he could be a killer in cold blood without being angry is another matter. So he's a possibility, I would say. Next, we have someone by the name of James Norton. He is someone who's still quite new in the craft of acting, but he's actually the bookies' favourite. If you look on a lot of these bookies' websites, he's actually the favourite to be the next James Bond. He definitely has the look, he definitely has the charm, just his experience is very small, and that's probably his biggest weakness. And lastly, on the rumour mill, me! Could I be the next James Bond? Oh, hell no. I'm way unfit. I am so overweight. I could not play James Bond. I mean, there's me pretending to be James Bond on the computer and in the berry telly, but other than that, no, I can't be Bond. But so there, I've gone through the rumour mills that I could find of who could be the next James Bond. What do you think? Have I said no to people you think it should be? Have I said yes to people you think should be no? Have I missed anyone out? Write them in the comments below. Is there anyone you think that should be James Bond? But ultimately, who would be your #1 pick to be James Bond? I mean, personally, I've picked 3 who I reckon should get it. Richard Madden, Henry Golding, David Oyelowo, and actually, yeah, I can still see Idris Elba as well. Who would your #1 pick be as well? Write them in the comments. But that's it for this week, and I'll see you next week with another film theory where I discuss another question that's random about films. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.